Okay, we'll start by creating one new app. Sorry, new project. Start project. Okay, here I'm just going to show you guys about forms. Okay, we'll just learn about forms. Fine. It is not a big thing because you guys have already worked with this, right? Forms, HTML forms you have already worked, correct? And you guys also know how to create models. Yes or no? You know how to create models, right? First things first, you know how to create model. The syntax for creating model. Just syntax. We are not bothered about this what is model and all. Just the syntax how to create a model. You guys know about that as well. And also you know about forms, correct? You know about forms. Now combining the syntax of models and combining the syntax of forms, okay, we together get something called as Django forms. Now you will say, sir, what are you talking about? So how can we combine a Python code with this, with a HTML code? So we are not really combining, but it is just a faster way, or we can say a better way to handle user input. Okay. Now, obviously, for a user to input something, we need what? We need a form. Yes or no? Just give me a second. Okay, so where were we? Here. So I was talking about forms, right? So basically, these forms are like, you know, you can create these forms using your Python syntax. Okay, just like we are writing SQL queries, right? Using Python. Similar to that, Django provides us a nice way to create these forms by using a Python's this syntax. Okay, with a Python code. Now, how we are going to create that we will see. Okay, first let me create this project first. We will create one contact form. All of you know, right? Contact form. All of you know about contact form. We have a name, email, correct? We have name, email, and what else? We have a message also, right? These three fields only we are going to create. Okay, we are not going to go much deeper into what is this and what is that. We are not bothered about it. We are just going to create only a form with these three fields itself. We'll take one input as name. Okay, one name will take, one email ID, and one message we will take. Okay, that's it. We are not actually sending the message and all. We're just creating a form to take user input. Okay, now I will call this project as, what should I call? Helpdex. Helpdex is fine. Like in our Helpdex we have, right? We pass some, if we need some help we go to that support, uh, what do you call it, support team. What should we call our project? You only tell. One is help desk name, just a name. It is not going to bother anything. Okay, fine, we'll create it as help desk only. Help desk. help desk. Okay. Now I'm going to cd into this help desk. Yes, we have this help desk. Okay, everyone, come everyone, come back. Is everyone there listening? Okay, okay. So sorry, I think I went little bit inside. Okay, so we have this help desk, and here I'm going to open my VS Code. Fine, I'll be opening a VS Code right here. Fine. So here, what I will do, will directly start by creating one app. Okay, we'll not waste time. We'll just directly start by creating one app. We'll say Python manage.py start app, and app name I will give as contact. Okay, contact. So like people contact you, right? Suppose this is your website, so people are going to contact you regarding hello sir, so and so issue I am facing, this and that. Then you are going to revert them back, something like that. Okay, let's not go on the theme of this project. Our focus is on how to implement Django forms. Okay, that is going to be our main focus right here. Okay, how to implement these Django forms and all. Fine. So here, what I will do, I'll just say manage.py start app and then contact. So I'll create this contact app. Mhm. Okay. Now we have to register this app. Okay. We'll go to our installed apps right here, and I'm going to register this like contact. Okay. Up till here, everyone knows. Fine. Now, what are these Django forms, everyone? Okay. And why do we need them? You will say, sir, we are good at creating forms already. We have created several forms. For our search function, we have created a form. For collecting data from the user, we have created a form. For example, like uh, for creating a data, like a task data, if I want to create, for that we had created form, and we have also implemented a get method and post method also. Then why do we need this Django forms? So the thing here is, these Django forms kind of help you to reduce your code. Okay. So basically, these Django forms provide you an easy way, much more easier way to handle user input. But since we know that Django is totally based on backend technology, correct? Totally a backend technology, but still it supports, somehow it still supports front end development also, correct? Some basic front end development it does support. So for that, some for a basic thing, we can use these forms. We can use these forms for also for our user authentication and all, user login, user sign up, and many other, like almost for all the things we can use this. But working on the CSS for these Django forms can be a little bit tough if you really want to implement a very high end CSS only at that particular time. Otherwise, this is almost the same as whatever we have done so far. Okay, but they have their own perks. Okay, own advantages, we can say. Fine. Okay, fine. So we will see why we need these. So basically, they are like very much easy to use. Okay, here these Django forms are directly or automatically going to generate an HTML form for you. Okay, here we don't have to create label, as label for name, input for name, like input type text. All this HTML code we do not have to write. What we have to write is just one Python code, and we just have to pass these forms as a context. These forms we are going to pass as what? As context to our template. Okay, we are going to pass these Django forms to our template in the form of a context. Okay, now these forms help you to validate the data. Okay, now when it comes to your normal form, do you think whenever we are using these normal forms which we are creating using HTML, are we somehow validating them? Are we having any more like much security to them? Do you feel like, do we have any security? No, right? What we are doing is, whatever the data which we are getting from the front end, only the same data we are directly storing it into a database, correct? Without validating. What do you mean by validating? Basically, validating means whether the whatever the data which has come, okay, whatever the data which has come from the front end, is it is it a good data? Is it having any malware into it? Is it a secure type of data? Is it having any wrong tokens or any wrong information attached to it? Okay, is it having a very uh, you know danger type of data type assigned to that? That all these things are called as validate validation. Correct, checking all these things is called as validation. Correct. So for example, like, it is ensuring, for example, you guys know about email field, email type, input type email, you guys know, right? Yes. So at this time what happens? Can I just type my name and submit? When it is an email field, can I directly type a mail and any name and submit it? No, right? It has to meet the email format, like at the rate gmail.com or something.com, that or dot in dot org, something like that has to be there. Yes or no? So all those validations are done by these forms very much, elegantly. Like, we do not have to wait for it to do all these things and all. It is going to do it everything by itself. But when it comes to HTML forms, we had to do all these things. Okay, so we are going to see all these things. So also along with that, it provides security. Correct. And one more thing, one more interesting thing which I like about these forms is that they can be integrated with our models. Okay, now we have models, right? We can also integrate our forms with our models, with respect to our models. Okay, like we can directly pass, okay, for this particular model I want one form. That's it. It is directly going to generate one entire form for you for the model which you have created. For example, you created one model for taking student details. Let's say student details are going to contain name, address, roll number, and their course. Let's say for these four fields. But you do not want to waste your time in creating HTML form. What you can do is you can directly use Django forms. In this, only 4 lines of code you write and done. It is going to directly create you the entire form for your particular model. Isn't it very much interesting how we can you know create HTML code by using Python code? Python is obviously one of our favorite languages because it is easy sometimes, but if you really work on projects, then yeah, that is going to be your real phase of life when you cry. Okay, fine. So first things first, what I want to do, let us first create these views. Okay, I'm going to create one view. Let's say def contact itself. Let me call it as contact and a request. I will say return render to request and then I'll call it form.html. Fine. We'll just call form.html. And now what do we have to do, guys? Tell me. Do we have form.html? What will I have to do now? So now I have to create templates. Okay, fine. In app level templates only I will create. Okay. I'll create one folder called as templates, inside which I will create one file called as form.html. Okay. And here I will create one form, one simple form I will create. I will just say label for name and input type text itself, and I will give input submit. Okay, one simple form I created. Yes or no? This is one simple form. Now, okay, this is also done. Now I have to create URLs file. I will create here urls.py file for my contact app. Here we are going to import from Django.urls and import path function, and from dot I'm going to import views, and we have URL patterns equal to this list. All these things you guys know, so please don't tell me that I'm going fast. Okay, I just say contact, and here we will say views dot contact. Now what I have to do with these URLs? What do we do with these URLs? These are app URLs. So to we have what we have to do with these URLs? We have to include these URLs into our project URLs, isn't it? Yes. So we will go to our project URLs and we will include. So first include function, I'll import, and then here we are going to say, okay, I will keep it a blank itself. And here we will say include of what contact.urls. Up till here it's done. Okay, everything is done. Yes, now let me run my server and check python manage.py run server. Okay, and here I will say contact. See, I'm getting one form, right? Yes or no, guys? I'm getting one simple form. Okay. Now, is it the implementation of Django form? Do you feel we created this form somehow using Python code? No, right? We used what? We used HTML itself, correct? We never used Python. So now we are going to start by implementing or by creating our Django form. Now let me just clear all these things for now. I will remove this form, okay? Let me have this form empty. See, the form is empty, correct? I will just print hello, create your form here. Okay. Here we'll be creating a form. Now, before you start creating your form, where we are going to create this form first of all. Now, in your app, In your app, click on your app first and click on this new file. Here we are going to create one file called as forms.py. Just like for our views, we have views.py file. For writing our routes or paths, we have what? urls.py file. For our models, we have models.py file. Similarly, for our forms, we are going to create forms.py file. Into where? Into our apps. Up till that, is that clear till here? First, we are going to start by creating one file, that is forms.py file, into our app. Is that clear up till here? Whatever I am saying, is it going inside your smart brain? Okay. After you create one forms.py file in your app, you just go to this file. Okay. Here your first import statement will be. Okay. Now these forms which we are going to use are almost as same as models. Okay, we almost have the same syntax for our models, correct? First, there is something called as models which is already imported. Yes or no? We have something called as models which is already imported, correct? Using which we create a child class of it. Similar to that, we are going to import something called as forms. Okay, similar to that, we are going to import something called as forms. So I'll say from Django, I'm going to import forms. Okay, we will say from Django import forms. Understood? Understanding, everyone? Yes. Now from Django we imported forms. Now what to do, sir? Just like your models, we were creating models, right? Similar to that, we are going to start by creating one form. I will say class, correct? We use class to create our models. Class, and for what I want this form, I want it for contact, right? I'll call it as contact form. Okay, contact form. Now, as per the syntax of models, what do you think this class is going to inherit from? Model class, correct? But here we have something called as forms, right? So we are going to say forms dot form. Understood? We are going to say forms dot capital form. We are inheriting from this form class which is residing inside this forms module. Understood? And here we are going to put a colon. And what do we write inside this, guys? For our models, what do we write inside here? The fields, right? And similarly, our forms also, in our forms also we have fields, correct? We have fields, yes or no? Some fields we have, right? We have field for name, we have field for price field, and different fields. Similar to that, these forms also have fields. Okay, now what are these fields? Let me create something called as, let's say, name. Okay, we are going to take name from our user, and we are also going to take its email. Okay, and one message, we'll tell them to pass one message. Okay, these three fields which we are going to take. Now you guys tell me, if this was your model, listen, if this was your model, then you tell me what type of field will you give for this name. This name field is there, what's the type you will give for this particular care field, correct? Like very much some string type of data you should give for this name. Correct? It's very much convenient. Now, we creating models here? Tell me what we are creating here. We are creating forms. Correct? So here I have already imported something called as forms. Yes or no? So I will say forms dot care field. Okay. Instead of models dot care field, here it is replaced by what? Forms dot care field. And inside what do we pass? We pass maximum length. I will pass maximum length as 50. Understanding everyone? Is it easy? Is it same as what you have done? Only models is replaced by forms. That's it. The word models is replaced by forms. That's it. Nothing much. Okay. Email field. So I will say forms dot email field. Okay. We also have email field. Then what else? Message also. Message also I will give as forms dot here we can give text area. Okay. We can give text area or text field. You have learned, right? But we don't have text field here. Okay. We don't have anything called as text field. We have something called as text area, but we'll see whether this text area is going to be supported or not. Okay, we will check. Done. I successfully created my form. Okay, that's it. That is it in your form. Now what you have to do? Now we are going to go into our views here. Okay, everyone pay attention. Everyone understood how to create a form? Yes. How to create a form you understood? That's it. Here we don't have any migrations and all. Okay, we don't have nothing like that we have. Okay, that our form is created. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to import this form. I told you, right? We are going to pass these forms as what? As a context to our template. Correct? So I need to pass this form as a context to my template. So how am I going to do that? See, I'll come to my view. So obviously, if I want to pass that particular form as a context, the first thing what I have to do here is form here anywhere. What will I have? What I have to do? Correct. I have to import my form. Now, as you can see, views and forms are in the same directory. So I'm going to say from dot forms, I will import my contact form. Okay. From dot forms, I will directly import my contact form, just like importing your models. We import our models also like this, right? From dot models import contact, something like that. Correct? Similar to that, we are going to import it here. After importing, since it is a class, everyone pay attention. Since it is a class, can you directly pass a class? Can you directly pass any class as a context? Can you, is it possible to pass any class as a context? No, yeah, no, right? We have to create, not no magic method. Listen here. What we have to do? We have to create object of that class. Yes or no? We have to first create instance of that class. Only the instance of the class we can pass, right? Yes or no? We can pass only the instance of that class. So let me just create one instance. I will call as form equal to, okay, contact form. This is how we create instance of a class, right? Contact form is anyhow it's a class. So how am I going to create instance of it? I'll say form equal to contact form. Correct? Yes or no, everyone? Are you guys understanding what I'm doing up till here? Is it much? Okay. And now what we have to do? we have to pass. I'll create one context equal to, we'll say form, we'll just say form colon form. That's it. And I have to pass context, isn't it? This much whatever I have done in the views, did you guys understood it? Yes or no? I just created an object of the class contact form, okay, and the same object I am passing inside the context, which this context is then passed on to the template called as form.html. Correct? Here we are passing something called as form. Now let us just come here and see whether everything is working fine. Okay, everything is working fine. Now if this is a variable, how am I going to print this variable here? Tell me, how am I going to print this particular variable here? Tell me, how am I going to print? Correct, we are going to use these brackets, and I'm going to say form. Correct, this is correct, right? If you go to see this particular thing what I'm doing here, it's correct, yes or no? Now you see what it is going to display. Okay, if I come back here, if I reload, is it giving, me a form? Yes or no? Santosh, what type of syntax is that? Isn't it giving me one form? Yes, but we are going to check whether it is actually giving us form or not. Okay, now looking at it, like it looks like a form itself, right? Is looking like a form. Did we give anything called as name? Did we give anything called as email? No, right? We didn't give anything called something like that. We just directly printed something called as form. But is it actually giving us form? We are going to check. How do we check? We'll inspect. I'll go here and inspect it. Now you guys see here what it is giving us. Is it giving us form or it is giving us just div tags? What it is giving us? Is it really giving us a form, or it? Do you see anywhere a form tag? Do you see a submit button? No. Correct. We don't have anything like that, but we do have something called as label. Correct. See, label it is generating one div tag, also it is generating one label tag, it is generating one input tag, also it is generating with id. Correct, this id also it is generating. It is also saying this is a required field, maximum length what it is giving 50, the one which we passed. Field name also it is putting, email also it is putting. Here see type of input type, email it is giving, yes or no? Everything it is giving nicely, right? Better than what we used to create. Doesn't it looks better than what we used to create? Yes, right? So this is what it is going to give you. Okay, this is what it is going to give you, but this is not a form. It is just displaying you some fields which you have created. One label it is displaying, and some things it is displaying. That is not here, Manali. Validation is afterwards, when you send a form. Okay, you can't see that validation, what it is going to do in build. We can't see that. Okay, we can just conceptualize it. Now if I want to make it as a form, what I can do, guys, I can create one form tag. And then I can put this form inside this. Correct, I will save it now, and I will just reload it. Now is it a form? Yes. Is it giving me a form now? See, is this a form? No. How many if you say yes? Please speak. Please answer. Okay, good. So somehow we implemented a form, right? Yes or no? But why didn't you guys ask me about the third field? Why is it so? Why didn't you ask me about the third field which we created message? Why it is giving us only two? Why is that? Is it because of that? Okay, we'll do one thing. We are going to create submit button also. Okay, we are going to create submit button also. We'll say input type submit. Correct. If we do that, we are going to get one more nice field. Correct. Or input type submit also we are getting. Still we are getting two fields only. Sir, what about the third field, sir? What about it? Why we are not getting? It's because of this field, text area. Now, text area is not a field. Okay, the text area, it is kind of a widget or kind of an attribute. Not even attribute, but it is kind of a widget we can give. Okay, we will see what are these widgets and all. For now, we will stick to char field. Char field, right here we will say maximum length of 150 characters. Okay, now if I save this form, if I go back and reload, now I am getting it. Correct. We are getting it right. Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? We are getting it right. Yes. So here, if we print this form directly, we are getting that those fields. Correct. Now here, there are some things. Okay, there are some different things here which we can do. If I just say form dot name, let's say, if I say form dot name, what it is going to give me? Just giving me one input field. Correct. And that input field is for what? Name, isn't it? That input field is for our name. Now let me say form dot input dot label I will give. Okay, I want it to give only label for this name field. No, Manali. Text area is not a field. Text area, text input, it is not a field. Char field, it is a type of field, correct? But text area is not a type of field. It is a widget. Okay, we will see what are widgets and all in our further classes. Okay, here you guys tell me, if I just print this form dot name dot label, I will just remove this in submit button also for now. I'm submitting, I'm passing form here, right? I'm passing form. Sorry, where is it? This form I am passing. Now inside form, we have three fields, correct? We have three different fields. One is name, one is email, and one is message, correct? Now when I type form dot name dot label, it is going to give me only a label for our name field. See, isn't it giving only name? Correct. And what it is giving? Directly name it is giving. Correct. Just name it is directly printing us. Whatever the label is for that. But if I remove this label, then what it is going to print? It is going to print the input field. See, now it is printing us the input field. If I want to know the input field is for what, then I can say dot label. Okay. Understandable, everyone? Are you guys understanding what I'm doing? we can print all those things whatever we have created into our forms. We can print all those things. For example, if I type form dot name dot label, correct? Now this label is being printed. Like whenever I type this form dot name dot label, it is directly printing me name. Now you tell me, is it printing me this name inside our label tag? Is it printing me this name inside our label tag? If you want, you can check here. It is directly printing us inside form, right? Like a normal text, it is printing us. Yes or no? Just like a normal text, it is printing us this name. But if I want to put it inside a label tag, I can do that also. I can just say label, okay, and I will take this thing and put it inside this label tag, okay. And if I just reload it, see, now I'm getting this label tag, correct? Now I'm getting this label tag. We can make use of this label tag to give classes and all, okay. If I want class to give to this and all, I can make use of this label tag. And after label tag, what I want to do, I want the input field of it. Yes or no? I want the input field for that, right? For the name. Yes or no? So how do we get the input field of it? We are just going to say form dot name. Okay, that's it. If I just type form dot name, it is going to give me the input field for this particular variable here, that name which we are taking. Okay, now we'll see. I'll just reload it. Am I getting, for name, I'm getting this input field, correct? Yes or no? Aren't we getting, guys? This is easy, right? Or you find it very much complex? This is nothing, just like context only. You are working on context, nothing big. You just have input and label. Only these two things, input and label, input and label. Now let us do one thing. I'll put one BR tag here. Okay. Now we will create label for another thing, that is our email, correct? How do we do that? We are going to say form dot email dot label, correct? One field we have, right, called as email, correct? So I'm going to say form dot email dot label, and here we are going to print its input field. How do we do that? Form dot email, correct? Yes or no? Now similar to that, what will I do for this message? We are going to say label, and what will I write here, guys? Now this you tell me. What will I write here to get the label for my message? The third field which we have. What I'm going to write here? Tell. Correct. We are going to write form dot message dot label. We'll say form dot message dot label. Correct. And then here, to get its input field, what I will write? What I'll write inside here to get its input field? We'll write only form dot message. Correct. Say form dot message. Yes, that's it. And we'll see. Working? Everything is working fine now. Yes or no? And what else we are left with? We are left with one input type submit. Correct? We have one submit type also. See? And we got that also. Submit button. Yes or no? Submit button also we got successfully. Understood, everyone? Yes or no? So this is how you can, this is called as manual rendering of a form. Okay, this thing is called as manual rendering of a form. So we'll say manual rendering of a form. Okay, like this. Now this is one way. Okay, now before this we learned about one way, right? Form inside which what we are doing, we are choosing the default rendering of a form. Correct, we directly say form. Correct, we just directly say form and input. So I'm keeping you this code, okay, for your reference to see all the different types of form rendering. Okay, I'm going to share this zip file for you. Okay, I'm going to share this zip file for you. Now this is also kind of default way of rendering forms inside div tags. Okay, what it was giving us, it was giving us different div tags. Yes, correct, is it, it was giving us different div tags, right? Now okay, here one more thing, when it comes to choosing a method, like whether it is going to be a post request or a get request, that is also going to be manual always. And applying the CSRF token, correct, how do we apply the CSRF token? I'm going to say something like this, right? When it is a post request, suppose the method is equal to post, we are going to say what, we are going to say CSRF underscore token, and then rest of the form, so that this form becomes or it works on postman, this post method. Okay, for now we will not implement it because you guys already know about postman and all this post method and all. Okay, and CSRF token, I hope you guys know about that also. Yes, so this is one way. Correct, what happens in this default way of rendering forms, now it is going to render inside div tags. Yeah, correct, submit, will write submit, it is going to render in a div tag. See here, if I check this form now, it is giving us div tags, right? See, div tags, different div tags it is giving us. So this is default rendering, like whatever like Django wants, like what in whatever the format Django wants, it is going to display it us. Okay, this is a default rendering. Now this is going to display in a div tag. Now one more default is there, okay, which displays us this form in a inside a p tag, inside paragraph tag. Okay, this is one way, this is another way. So here we are going to say form dot as underscore p. Okay, as p means as paragraph tag. Now we have here something called as, by default it is choosing div tag, right? It is giving us div tag for all the label and input, label input, correct? Now here if I do form dot as underscore p, it is going to give me in this format. See, if I reload and if I check here in this form, what it is giving me, is it giving me div tag now, or what type of tag is this? Previously it was giving us div tag, right? Now it is giving us in a paragraph tag, correct? Now you can see when it is using paragraph tag, it is having some padding, correct? It is having some padding and it is having default line break, correct? So you can choose like however you want. You can choose, depends on your CSS, depends on your usage. Okay. Now these were some three ways of rendering your form. Now we have one more way. Okay, one more way of rendering these forms. I'll say form. Okay. Now here rendering form using for loop. Okay, rendering a form using a for loop. Here what I will do, I will just say one for loop. Let me say for field in form. Okay, let us call it as field only. The variable will call it as field, and I'll say and for. Now you guys tell me, if I just directly print the field, if I directly print the field, what it is going to give me? All the labels or the input tags. Okay, let's see. Let us see if it is giving everything or something. If I reload, what it is giving me now? Only the input fields it is giving. Correct. It is only giving me some input fields. That means this field is basically like having all the input field. If I give field dot label, now if I give field dot label, now it is going to give me label also, only label. Correct. Now if I want to put it in, now see, it is not going to give me as a label, it is just randomly printing it. Correct. See, just name, email, message is printing it. So we have to put this inside a label tag. Okay, I'll put this inside the label tag. Okay, and after that I will say field. Correct. This is almost similar to what? Similar to the manual rendering, right? See, here we were taking form dot name, but now this form dot name, all this name, email, and message is stored by what? Which variable? Field variable. Correct. Now this field variable is going to store all this name, email, and message. Correct. We just have to type field dot label and that field. Correct. Let's see. See here. Now the manual rendering, whatever we were rendering manually, I am just converting it into a for loop. Correct. Instead of rendering all those things manually, I'm just converting it into a for loop. Yes or no? Now suppose I have 10 fields. I'm not going to write all this manual rendering, right? Only this for loop and let it do rest of the things. Now let us see. Is it giving me now properly? Correct. All these three things it is giving me. If I want, I can put a break statement also. I also say br tag. If I do that, it is going to come on each line. Okay, and also we can include one this submit button also. Input type submit. Now you tell me, where am I going to put this input tag, like for my submit button? Inside for loop or outside for loop? Correct. Outside of my for loop. Correct. We'll say input type submit. Correct. See, now it is given. Understood, everyone? Understood this? Yes or no? Okay. Now, these were some different way of rendering your form. Now we will just stick to this one only for now. Okay, shall we stick to this one? It's easy, right? Understandable for you. Shall we stick to this one for now? For loop only. Okay. Now there are different arguments which we can pass inside the field, like inside these form fields. Okay. Inside these form fields, we can pass different arguments. Now, what are those different arguments? Now, here we have something called as name, correct? We have something called as name. Sometimes, if we want to print instead of name, if I want to print your first name, now when I am creating variable, everyone pay attention. When I am creating a variable, I'm going to write it like this, right? We will say first underscore name. Yes or no? We will say something like this, first underscore name. Let me create two fields, copy paste, first name and last name. Okay, we will say something like this, right? First underscore name and last underscore name. Now you see how it is creating. Is it giving us underscore? Is it giving us underscore? Yes. Is it giving us underscore in the output here? No, right? It is not giving us any underscore into our output. That means what variable which we are writing here, it is not printing the same variable, but instead it is creating a new label name. Correct? It is creating a new label name for our variable. Yes. Now if I say L name, sorry, if I say for first name, if I just type as F name, and if I type L name, what is going to happen? Now it is creating me F name and L name. Correct? Will the user understand what is F name, what is L name? Is it a father's name, or what is L name? No. User is not going to understand what is F name and what is L name, correct? For that, we can pass some arguments here. Okay. Now this character field or any of these fields have different arguments. Okay. We have different arguments which we can pass. Now let me say I want to, you know, override the, see, here it is creating F name, right? With F being capital, correct? Here F is capital. So it is creating its own label name, correct? Based on our variable, it is creating its own variable name. Sorry, own label name. Now for that, if I want to change it, if I want to override it, I can directly pass here label. Okay. I can just say label equal to whatever the label I want to give, I can give. I can pass first name. Okay. I can directly pass label equal to first name. I'll go here and I will reload. Now what it is giving me, guys? Is it giving me my variable name or the label which I passed as an argument? What it is giving me? It is giving me the label name, right? It is just like an alias name which you can pass for your variable, correct? Similar to that, I will do it for my last name also. I will say label equal to last name, correct? See, it is giving me last name now, correct? Yes or no? So using this label argument, okay, using this label argument, you can customize the name for your label. So this label, uh, This label argument is used to customize the label for your field. Okay, understood?